and welcome to I Put My Foot in It. We are going to make today an American classic, Salisbury steak with mushroom gravy. And we're going to do it kind of like Mom used to do it, but we're going to make it working woman style, as I like to say. So we're going to take a few shortcuts here to still get that Salisbury steak flavor that you love on a weeknight. So we're just going to get started and dive right in. The first thing that we need is just I think we should saute these onions. And I don't think I have my pan on, so I'll just turn my pan on and then I'll come back to that. In the pan though, I'm just going to pop in a tablespoon of butter, because we're going to saute those onions up in that. So I'll just get started over here on this other part, since I didn't have that part ready. And so we're just going to take just a package of 1 pound of lean ground beef. And now with Salisbury steak, you can do any ground meats that you want. Traditionally, it's ground beef, but you can also do, if you eat pork, ground pork. You can do a mixture of meats. You can do ground turkey if you want to do it that way. But Salisbury steak is typically just good old American ground beef. So I'm just breaking it up here. And to this, we are going to add a little cream of mushroom soup. Here's where it becomes working woman style. So instead of, going through the process of like making our mushroom soup, we're just going to open up a can here. And we only want about 1/4 of this can in here, so I'll take about that much. We'll add that in there with that ground beef. And we're probably going to use the rest of this later, so I'll just put that to the side. And then also I have, how much of this do I have in here? I measured everything out for you. Because normally when we cook at home, we don't really measure. But I measured it out so that you can duplicate this. So what did I do? I did 1/2 cup of Italian breadcrumbs. And what the Italian breadcrumbs are going to do is not only bind our meat, but it's going to give it some flavor, because the Italian breadcrumbs have, some of your Italian seasonings in there. So we're just going to lightly mix that in, because we're going to mix a few more things in. And to this, we're also going to add 1 egg beaten. So we'll just crack an egg here. And that's also going to give us some binding. Okay, looks like our pan is hot over here. Just going to turn it down a little bit, because butter smokes pretty quickly. And I'm just going to toss in diced onions. And we're just going to saute these up. And I always tell you to season every layer, so we're just going to put just a little bit of salt there on those onions. I'm just going to grab another spoon here. And I'm going to let those onions just hang out while we do this. So what I'm doing is I'm just beating 1 egg, and we'll just add that on in. Okay? So we're off to a good start. It's not a dish that takes a long time. Okay, and then to this, we're going to put a little seasoning. And this is Montreal steak seasoning. And how much did I measure out for this? 1 teaspoon of this. And so what I did was, in the seasoning, I want to tell you what's in it. It has salt, black pepper, red pepper, garlic, sunflower oil, and paprika. So it has a few different things. And that's let me show you what it looks like, the Montreal steak seasoning. And so we're just going to put that in there, because that just gives it just that homemade good flavor. Okay? So our onions are doing good. And then I might have turned down the pan a little too far, because I don't hear them sizzling anymore, but that's okay. We'll get them back up. So I just want to mix this thoroughly, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw these onions in here. And I just want to get them translucent. I don't want them to, caramelize or anything like that. So we're just going to saute them pretty quickly. I think I'll take this to the sink in the meantime. Alright. This is good old night cooking. Really, they're almost done. inside of our Salisbury steak mixture here. I'll move some of our other ingredients off to the side here. And if you have time and you want to get fancy and you want to do a little more, you can saute some bell pepper. You can do some garlic up in here, just to make it a little bit more special. You can do celery. Okay. And here's another thing about sauteing this. I'm going to use the same pan when I do the steaks, and then that way it will have all of the flavors that I've been building on the pan. So we're basically building flavor. So see, once they're softened like that and translucent, we're just going to dump these in here, and it's okay if you stay behind, because it's just going to add flavor. This is home cooking after all, right? So we're just going to add these onions right in here. Get as many as I can. And I don't care, like I said, I don't care if you stay behind and get a little brown in here. I think that will be just delicious. So that's what we'll do. And so then we'll mix this in. Onions always add a lot of good flavor to your food. Okay? So now what we're going to do is in our pan here, we're going to add in, we're going to add in our canola oil, and that's about a tablespoon of canola oil. And then we're going to add in just another tablespoon of butter. And this is what we're going to, fry up these patties in. So there's a few breadcrumbs here still on the bottom. And then this is where I take off my ring and get my hands involved. Clean hands. And we're just going to go in and just make sure everything is just thoroughly mixed. Right? This is good home cooking. Okay? And if you want to, you can fry a little tiny one and taste it. I'm pretty confident in how I seasoned it, but if when you make it, you can fry off a little one and taste it, so that if you want to come back here and adjust your seasoning before you fry them all, you can go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start forming steaks. And you can do them whatever size. Normally you have the ginormous, like hamburger size patty Salisbury steaks. But I think I just want to cook them fairly quickly. So I'm not going to make them too thick or too big. So I'm just going to start forming these patties. So right about like that. Probably about an inch thick. Maybe half an inch thick. And I'm just going to lay that there as it sizzles. Salisbury steak is not really steak at all. I have to look up the history for you and see how this ever got invented. But somebody was trying to save a dime and came upon something very yummy. I enjoy this. So I guess you get, 4 good patties out of this. Maybe 4 good ones and a baby. You always, when you're making patties out of something, you always have that little baby one. Doing them similar size. And what I do is I press and form, but I use my thumb to go around the edge. And that just smooths out that edge for you and gives you that nice clean edge. And then here's the last patty. It's pretty good size for a baby. We're going to let these cook thoroughly. We do them well done so they cook all of the way through. And then we'll be back and I'll show you how to do it. I'm back and I'm ready to take these out. And as you might say, oh, those look kind of like hamburgers, and they do a little bit. But because of the way that we flavored them, they're going to be a lot more savory than what a burger is. So we're just going to take these out and set these aside. You see all of those beautiful onions in there. And they smell wonderful. And we're just going to set these here as we make our gravy. And again, like I said, this is a working woman's gravy, so this is not, you know, your slow cooking traditional gravy. I'm just going to come down with my heat. And you see all these good bits of dark brown onion that we have in there. That's only going to increase and help our flavor. So what I'm going to do is, yes, another tablespoon of butter. And then I'm going to throw in here, I probably should put the mushrooms in, 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. So I'm just going to bust these open and toss them in here. And just saute these off till they're pretty soft. Okay? So we'll let that happen. We'll let these mushrooms happen. And I'm not going to add too much seasoning to this. And the reason why is because we've had enough seasoning inside of this same pot that these mushrooms will be seasoned. And we don't want our dish to go salty. And that is always one thing, is you don't want to ever over season so that it goes too salty. Because we're going to pour a whole bunch of broth and we're going to use a gravy packet, and you know those things do have plenty of sodium. So we're just going to let those cool down, and once we do that, I will be back to show you how to finish this dish. Alright everybody, we got our mushrooms nice and sauteed. We got some color to them, nice and soft. So what we want to do now is we're just going to add in the rest of that cream of mushroom soup. Remember that? Just get all of that out. I'm going to just lower the temperature here. And because we're adding a little beef broth to it, 2 cups of beef broth, I'll just put a little bit in here to get the rest of that mushroom soup out. So we'll pour that in there. Then to add even a little bit more seasoning in depth, remember this is not a homemade gravy, so we are just putting in, this is just a brown gravy mix packet. Remember, we're doing this on a work night. And then we'll just add the rest of our beef broth in there. I'll just take my whisk and just whisk it in and dissolve that gravy packet.